Hello, thank you for joining us today on the Profit Scale Thrive podcast, where we guide attorneys to overflowing profits, scaled growth, and thriving lives. I am your host, Kelly Brubaker. We have a secret though. This is a special place because we don't work with every law firm owner. We support the solo attorneys who are also single parents because we know the special challenges you face, and we know the business advice out there is not always practical for you and your firm. Each week, we will talk about things that will give you the insight you need to stop feeling overwhelmed, to gain back your confidence, and to finally enjoy your law firm and your life again. Hello, and thanks for joining me today for podcast number 11. Welcome back, or for those who don't know me yet, my name is Kelly Brubaker. I'm a CPA and a business coach who supports solo attorneys who are single parents. I'm also a certified Profit First professional, which means I help my clients implement the cash management system presented in the book Profit First, written by Mike Michalowicz. A few weeks ago, starting with episode 5 of my podcast, I began a dedicated series of episodes to share with you in detail, chapter by chapter, the book Profit First. If you've read the book, please follow along as I will share tips not in the book along the way. If you have not read the book, but you're curious about it, please stick around as we go through chapter by chapter. This week, we're talking about chapter 7, Destroy Your Debt. We've done a lot of work so far to understand why Profit First works, how to use it, and how to customize it perfectly for our own business. But I love these next few chapters because it's where so many of my clients have huge aha moments. And I'll admit, while I fell in love with Profit First from the start of chapter 1, this chapter in debt had me in tears. And I'll admit, I tear up at the slightest of things. I always have. When Professor Hinkle melted Frosty in the greenhouse, when any rock ballad from the 80s starts to play on Spotify, and just about every day when OneDrive emails me my memories from this Dave photo review email. I can't believe my kids were so tiny and huggable once upon a time. But this chapter really spoke to me. I mentioned some of my story as a business owner in the first episode of this podcast, but in the beginning of owning a business, I did everything wrong. It's still hard to talk about, even though it's been almost 20 years since I became a business owner. I opened my first CPA firm while employed at my last job. I easily picked up a few clients without even trying, and it gave me the confidence to quit my job without having a full book of business to support me. But at the time, I was single. I had my dog, Mr. Sanders, and my cat, Mopar, counting on me to make it. I knew I could easily sell my Harley if I needed money, and I lived in a decent area. I could probably sell my home quickly if I needed to. Admittedly, if I failed, it would really suck to sell my house and move in with who knows who and go back to working for someone else. But it was low pressure to me. I quickly picked up consulting work. In addition to a few small businesses, I did bookkeeping, payroll, and taxes for. The consulting work was nice because it kept me in a familiar corporate environment, but it left me with the courage to stop networking for my next gig. I was making almost double the money I had at my last job, and life was good. After a few years, I acquired enough work that I was able to hire a CPA to help me serve the clients I had. And it was a flexible arrangement with a CPA I trusted. She was a longtime family friend who had long been on her own with a dwindling book of aging clients. They were selling their businesses or just retiring altogether. But we were peas and carrots. She loved taxes and I loved bookkeeping. We had another staff person who helped in a mixed capacity to support both of us and keep the office running smoothly. I grew the business exponentially, primarily through word of mouth referrals. I felt loved. That is until I would have a client complain about the bill for the work we did for them. What hurt when somebody would complain about pricing is that I purposely priced my services just below the average for our area. So we weren't the cheapest, nor were we gouging clients either. I had local competitors wearing really expensive suits and driving brand new luxury cars around town, and it made me uncomfortable as if they were bragging about the wealth they had accumulated from charging high fees to their clients. My goal with my firm was to work when I wanted and to be financially stable. I wasn't looking to be mega rich for my firm and buy a mansion or a Lamborghini. I took pride that I was able to offer my quality services to working for hardworking mom and pop businesses. Because money was constantly rolling in, I took my eye off the ball. I felt comfortable that I had a full book of business and money in the bank. I didn't pay attention to the fact that my consulting work was paying for most of my overhead. I didn't pay attention to the fact that some tax and bookkeeping work was taking longer than budgeted, work that was billed at flat rates with delays caused by clients, delays that I should have better managed and billed as out of scope work. And then I got pregnant unexpectedly, and my consulting work started to dwindle as I stopped networking because I knew it would be too much for me to work on larger projects once the baby arrived. Oh, and all of this happened at the start of the Great Recession of 2008. Clients started taking longer to pay my bills. Many closed their businesses. Desperately, I added new services to my existing client base. I was also overextending myself by doing more work at the same fees for my long term clients who I knew were struggling because I had faith that they would stay with me and it would eventually even out when the recession ended. When really all I wanted to do was welcome my newborn into this world, but my business was crumbling. I put on a brave face and buried my head in the sand about my business for as long as I could. And then I had to take a distribution from my 401k to make payroll. And I still remember the shame as if it were yesterday. By this time, I had gotten married and could not bring my proud, independent self to hint about the financial disaster I had become to my husband, family, or friends. Here I was as a CPA, a numbers person, a college educated person with a business degree, failing big time. The thing is, now there are college degrees for entrepreneurship, but I graduated college in the 90s. Nobody taught me how to be a business owner. I learned that through the School of Hard Knocks. I did raise rates. I terminated relationships with clients who owed me money with no hint that I was ever going to be paid anytime soon. I started networking again, which really meant I was going to other firms and begging for work they didn't want. I placed ads in the local paper, redesigned my website, and mailed letters and postcards to targeted local mailing lists. Everything I tried was the equivalent of one step forward, two steps back. But the recession was ending, and it actually started to feel like one step forward was actually one step forward. But I wasn't the best at saying no to potential clients who I knew from the beginning were not a good fit. You know the ones. They want to pay you nothing, but they need you on call 24/7. Desperate for new clients, I did not weed out the bad prospects. Those clients ate up so much of my time and energy, and they bickered about paying every bill I sent. The debt continued to grow out of control. I checked my online bank balances multiple times a day, hoping somebody who owed me money would decide to pay me. I took more distributions from my 401k until it was gone. My breaking point came when my largest client, about 30% of my revenue, worked out a deal with an employee behind my back. He offered her slightly more than I paid her, which saved him money. Not only was this bad enough, but because I was such a nice person, I was always introducing my clients to each other where I thought there was an opportunity for one to support the other. To give my employee the target revenue to make this move valuable to her, the client heavily encouraged the other clients I networked to support him to also move their business from my firm to my employee. Within 1 week, 50% of my book of business walked out the door. Now, because she was a family friend and because I was naive, I did not have a non compete agreement in place. 8 years into my journey as a business owner, and my firm was decimated. I was in debt up to my eyeballs. I was determined to survive, as I vowed long ago to never work for anyone else ever again. I took a hard look at the clients I had left. I decided to niche how I worked with clients. I stopped doing the type of work I despised doing, or I was just not efficient at it. I weeded out unprofitable clients, even if they had grown to be friends. While it did not happen overnight, I was able to slowly recover financially. Older and wiser, I was set on the right path, though, right? Wrong. I had a second baby with my husband. We both worked as much as possible to save to build a new home. We even sold my house and moved to a mobile home to live as cheaply as possible while we saved and drew up plans for our dream home. Moving to a mobile home that was less than 1,000 square feet from a four-bedroom home with a garage, shed, and basement meant most of our belongings were placed into storage. And coincidentally, we had access to a building owned by a family for free. It was going to work out perfectly until the building received an unsolicited purchase offer. We had 3 months to move out our stuff. In a rush, we knew we couldn't get a home built that fast, so we abandoned the dream and purchased a home. As we settled into our new home, I was able to cut back on my work hours. My oldest was getting ready to start school, and I wanted to be the mom who was always available to help at school. I was blessed to be able to work part time. That is until my husband moved out. We had been fighting, but I chalked it up to stress from moving, the kids getting older, us getting older. But I came home from work one day and he announced he was leaving by the end of the week. I immediately took over the full mortgage and all household bills, all the while freaking out because I had been working less than 20 hours a week and filled the rest of my time volunteering at my kids' school and in the community. I sunk into a deep depression while putting on a smiling face for my girls. I felt trapped under my commitments. How was I ever going to get out of this? Well, it took a few years because I was going into debt more every day, but I eventually grew my business to a profitable level, a size that let me live comfortably and pay off my debt at the same time. All of this happened before I discovered Mike Michalowicz. Not that Mike's books would have prevented any of this from happening, but I do think I could have corrected my path sooner and substantially minimized the financial impact of what I lived through. Now, I didn't just pour my heart out for no reason. I shared it to tell you that I've been there. I get it. I truly do. The sleepless nights that left me walking around as a zombie the next day, packing on a ton of weight from the stress, both of which I'm still dealing with years later. I was kicked in the ass more than once and I survived. Not only survived, but now I'm thriving, which is why I named my firm Profit Scale Thrive. And my story of how I started my journey of business ownership is why I cried when I read Chapter 7 of Profit First about debt. Let's get back into the book. So, the first paragraph of this chapter, I'm going to quote Mike. Well dressed poverty is still poverty. Just because your business is making lots of money doesn't mean you're hanging on to it. Too many entrepreneurs believe the top line is what defines success, and then they behave accordingly. Another big client comes on board, and the entrepreneur expands the office. A big sale rolls in, and with it, a fancy dinner. It's like putting Frankenstein's monster in a tuxedo and having it dance and sing to Puttin' on the Ritz. The monster may look like it has its act together, but it doesn't. One tiny bit of faulty wiring, as when the big client decides not to pay his bills, and the monster goes on a rampage and everything falls apart. Oh, yes, everything falls apart. Mike shares his phone call with a friend, Pete, who had his business line of credit called by the bank unexpectedly, a $1 million line. When there was no money in the bank, Pete asked Mike for advice. Mike taught Pete about the principles of profit first. And Pete's reaction? Confusion. Why focus on profit when he was in serious debt with no money in the bank? And as Mike explained to Pete, yes, you need to focus on profit because by focusing on paying down debt only, will only accomplish that, paying off debt. You'll still be stuck in the loop of top line thinking, which will most likely result in more debt. Every major change in life can be traced to a pivotal moment, a turning point, a come to Jesus moment, a wake up call. The moment when the pain of staying a certain way is greater than the effort to make awareness of it go away. The choice is yours. Will you fix the crisis or the root of the problem? The problem, as Mike points out, is that most of the time the action we take is a reaction to alleviate the immediate pain. We move heaven and earth to bail ourselves out with little thought of creating permanent change to prevent recurrence in the future. Why do so many people who have lost weight eventually put it back on? Because once they reach their goal, they revert to old habits. The pain of being overweight is gone. So, grapefruit for breakfast is replaced with our favorite cereal. Water is replaced with our favorite sugary beverage. Skipping one day at the gym turns into a week and then a month. Your mind knows you can fix the pain of being overweight. You did it once, you could do it again. So your mind lets up on the strict habits that helped you reach your weight loss goal. And it's the same with debt. So Pete had the equivalent of a financial heart attack. His focus was how to quickly rid his debt. In other words, how could he go on a crash diet to lose the excess weight? There was no thought to how to make his business permanently healthy. The lesson here: if your business is in debt, it's critical that you put profit first. Pay yourself first. This is the first step that leads you to a healthy and sustainable business. So, how does paying off debt work in the profit first framework? There's not an allocation for debt payment, right? But here's the solution to destroy your debt. Manage your cash, as we've discussed, following profit first. But when you have your quarterly profit distribution, you're going to take 99% of your profit distribution and use that to pay off your debt. The remaining 1% will be your reward. This way, debt gets paid down while you strengthen your habit following profit first. So Mike seems to get great ideas while channel surfing TV. He mentions that he caught a program where Susie Orman was explaining personal financial strategy to a small group of people when she stated this: the solution to debt is simple. If you want to get out of debt, you must get more enjoyment out of saving your money than you do spending your money. Mike's attention couldn't be moved away from that declaration. He says in the book, so wealth is a game of emotion. Business success is a game of emotion. Profit first is a game of emotion. It all comes down to the story we tell ourselves about what we're doing. Is what I'm doing making me happy or not? His thoughts continued about we do things that make us happy in the moment. If spending makes you happy, you'll find ways to spend money. If you enjoy saving, you will find ways to save money. When you reach your pain moment, your kick in the ass is when you'll finally say enough is enough. For Mike, his pain moment was when his daughter handed him her piggy bank. For Pete, it was a call from the bank to pay his line in full in the next 30 days. For me, it was draining my 401k balance to zero. But the pain just gets you moving enough in a different direction to stop the immediate pain. Whereas Susie pointed out the other half of moving away from pain: you need to move towards pleasure. Immediate pain gets the ball rolling, and pleasure keeps the ball moving forward. The only way to make a new habit work forever is if you continue to get immediate pleasure from your new habit. Give yourself more joy when you choose not to spend money. More joy when your bottom line grows. More joy when your profit percentage grows. Acknowledge and celebrate when you do not spend money, whether it's $5 or $5,000, every time. This is how you will train your mind to equate happiness with choosing to save money over spending it. So, by nature, business owners are optimistic. I mean, we must be, right? It takes a lot of courage to do what we do, and that optimism serves us well until it fails us. The trap so many of us fall into is believing our most recent record breaking month is our new normal. When we don't repeat the same performance again in the following month, we're caught off guard. And Mike warns, until your best month becomes your average month, it's not the norm. If you take one outstanding month's income and begin to spend it out of faith that it will happen again, that's when debt will start to pile up and you'll revert to the old standby of sell more to grow fast, the old survival trap. I say this to point out that profit first is based on percentages and on cash actually in the bank for this exact reason. Income varies in dollars. You will always have some outstanding months, some bad months, and some average months. Don't tell yourself that your outstanding month is permanent. This is why you will pay yourself a consistent owner's wage from your owner's comp account, and the bank balance will grow and grow some months, your outstanding months. But you will still continue to be able to pay yourself in the bad months. So, how do you know what to pay yourself as an owner? So, there's the IRS definition of reasonable salary, but then there's the profit first way. What you need to do is two calculations. Do first, over the last 12 months, add up your lowest three monthly grossing revenue amounts and divide by three to get the monthly average. Take this answer and multiply your monthly average by your current allocation percentage for owner's comp. This result is your current monthly salary. So you can pay your salary once a month, twice a month, or even weekly. Just keep within the guidelines of the amount you computed in step 2 above. Then, as you raise your caps each quarter, do those two computations above again to give yourself a raise. As long as your owner's comp account continues to accumulate money or stay even, you are taking a healthy salary, meaning a salary that your business can financially support. So, debt freeze. This is not as crazy as it sounds, but now that you're convinced that profit first is the way to manage your business cash, here's how you're going to get out of debt with the debt freeze. And don't panic, this does not mean sell off everything you own, nor does it mean to stop spending money all entirely. It's about cutting the fat out of your business, the stuff that's not generating or supporting income for your company. Do not cut out the muscle, though, the stuff that you absolutely must do to deliver your product or service. So grab a list of expenses your business has paid for the last 12 months. Now review every transaction and determine which items can be eliminated or reduced. Review everything. And here's your goal. Get your 12-month expenses to be 10% less than your OPEX TAP amount from your instant assessment we did a few episodes ago. Remember, your TAP is your target allocation, not your current. Meaning, if your instant assessment indicates that your OPEX TAP in dollars annually is $50,000, then we want to eliminate or reduce your expenses to $45,000 because 50,000 times 10% is 5,000. So 5,000 less from 55,000 is 45,000. And yes, this is 100% doable. And it might take you a few months to reach your goal to cut the 10%. It most likely will not happen overnight. And while the book simplifies this exercise, I feel more information is needed to do this. So I've created an online course, and it's called Maximizing Profits by Minimizing Expenses. In the course, I walk through in detail how to do this review, giving tips throughout the course. Additionally, there's a module where you can watch over my shoulder as I do the review in real time while talking through why I'm doing what I'm doing. I normally sell this course for $97, but the next 20 people who want it can get it for free by clicking on the link that's posted in the show notes. So the debt freeze looks at all of your expenses, but labor costs need to be analyzed a little bit differently. Labor costs are usually the significant driver of debt, and it's hard as a business owner to defend and justify who to cut. You know you can't do all the work alone, right? And sometimes overhead is high because a business owner tried to get themselves removed from the daily operations too fast, or there are not solid systems in place. And it could be a combination of both of those things. For labor costs, truly evaluate each employee. If they directly contribute to profit, keep them. If they are not, can you move them to another area of the business where they would directly contribute to profit? If not, they need to be let go. It's not personal. You are doing this for the long-term sustainability of your business. And I know how devastating this can be. I've done it personally, but it's necessary. Find solace in knowing that you are freeing them up to find a better fitting job, to keep a few extra people on staff will mean that all employees and you will be looking for jobs when the business abruptly closes from lack of cash. Once identified staff are let go, have a staff meeting with those who are staying to share what you have done and why. Express how difficult it was, but you are taking responsibility for the financial problems the company is in and for fixing it. Assure them that you have taken actions to immediately stabilize the company. And PS, please, under no circumstances, do not ask employees to take pay cuts in order to keep more people on staff. This will quickly backfire. So, a few strategies to wrap up your debt freeze exercise. To immediately end recurring auto charges, here's a suggestion, Mike has. Call your bank and ask them to treat your card as being compromised because it was by you, right? Ask for the card number to be voided and a new card to be reissued to you. This will prohibit future recurring charges from being automatically charged to your card, and then you can turn on the ones you want to pay one by one. Or you can use the just one more day technique. Delay a purchase for just one more day. Make do without it today. Repeat this daily. This will test how badly you really need something or if you can make do without it. You can also promptly eliminate the expenses you identified as being able to eliminate. Make the phone call to the vendor, whatever you need to do to eliminate the things that you've already identified as needing to go. And lastly, negotiate the price of all other expenses. Everything can be negotiated: rent, credit card rates, software licenses, internet, vendor bills. Be prepared though, research alternatives before calling. The worst is that they say no and you move to a different provider at a lower cost. Keep in mind that no matter how much debt you have, there is a way out. You are not the first and you won't be a last. Shoot, love him or hate him, Trump-owned businesses filed bankruptcy 6 times. He still became president of the United States, and the Trump Organization owns approximately 500 businesses in 2023. The new definition of success is not about the most revenue, most employees, or most office space, but instead it's about the most profit generated with the fewest employees with the least expensive office space. Make the game of winning based upon efficiency, frugality, and innovation, not on size, flair, and looks. Let's make our mission to be save a lot instead of make a lot. So, a follow up on Pete and his $1 million line of credit. After implementing Profit First and doing the debt freeze exercise, he called the bank. He was able to negotiate a payment plan that he could stick to, and within 3 months had already paid off 5% of the total, as well as being able to turn a profit. Through the power of a series of small actions, Pete was able to overcome his darkest business moment. And one of my favorite Profit First stories, included in the second edition of Profit First, is from a business that has dominated social media and the hearts of people around the world in recent years, the Savannah Bananas. So Jesse Cole is the owner of the Savannah Bananas. It's a minor league baseball team. Upon receipt of a note from Jesse, Mike called Jesse and asked to interview him for the second edition of Profit First. Jesse, who also owns another team, the Gastonia Grizzlies, told Mike his story. Jesse was able to overhaul both teams by shifting their focus to entertainment instead of baseball. While the other teams in the league were busy working on building better baseball teams, Jesse changed his team's goals to entertain the fans. Jesse brought in a choreographer to teach the players dances to perform on the field between innings. He added crazy things like granny beauty pageants and new interesting food choices. Within months, the franchise was able to go from struggling to sell 200 seats per game to selling out 4,000 seats per game. But all of this came at a cost. More than $2 million in debt in less than 2 years. So Jesse and his wife were able to use Profit First and the debt freeze exercise to end their stressful days and sleepless nights and pay off all the debt. Both teams they own are profitable. The distinction is that they are using their profit distributions to pay off debt. They are not spending beyond their means. And the biggest reward, innovation by necessity. For example, most ball clubs automatically purchase a ticketing system that runs about $30,000 per season plus kickbacks to the software company for every ticket sold. Though Jesse has the money to follow the status quo as a profit first entrepreneur, he knew that he had to find an alternative to this pricey ticketing system. And to accomplish the mission, he purchased 100,000 printed tickets shaped like bananas for $6,000. It was easy, it was on brand, and it was cheaper than the industry standard. And the tickets serve another purpose. They are souvenirs. For every expense, Jesse asks himself whether it fits with who they are as a brand, entertainment over baseball, and whether he absolutely needs it. If he does need it, he finds a way to trade for it or get it at a deep discount. Jesse's success from innovation and ingenuity is outstanding. Hopefully, this encourages you to implement Profit First today and use your profit distributions to crush your debt like Jesse has. Let's check in for our listener's question of the week. This week's question is from Chris. I'm on board with Profit First, but I still don't understand how I'm going to pay off all of my debt. Help. Absolutely, Chris. While Profit First provides a way to find the cash to pay off your debt, you can use a popular method made famous by Dave Ramsey, the Debt Snowball method. The Debt Snowball method will help you gain momentum and get your debt paid off. While the Debt Snowball method works by paying off your debt from smallest debt first while making minimum payments on all other debt, as the smallest debt is paid off, start to make larger payments on your next smallest debt while continuing to make minimum payments on all other debt. Continue this pattern until all debt is paid off. But regardless of whether you use this Debt Snowball method or another plan to pay off your debt, one thing is certain: you cannot add new debt as you pay off the old debt. That's just shifting money around. Do the debt freeze and then destroy it once and for all. Thanks, Chris, for your question. If you would like to submit a question for a future episode, please send an email to podcast@profitscalethrive.com. And no, by sending us an email, you will not get added to a distribution list. There will not be a phone call, and there will not be a sales pitch. We follow the golden rule: treat others how you wish to be treated. This week's inspirational quote is from Napoleon Hill. A goal is a dream with a deadline. Final thoughts for today. I hope you're enjoying this approach to the book Profit First. While it took us a few episodes to get to the heart of Profit First, we now have shifted to tackling other things that can put a damper on your cash flow. Today, we talked about Profit First and how it can be used to eliminate your debt when combined with the Debt Snowball method. Next week, we'll be talking about how to find other money hiding in your business. But here's your homework for next week. Whether you have debt or not, do the debt freeze exercise. Don't forget to grab my digital course. The link is in the show notes to go through this in detail. The course is free to the first 20 who grab this special deal. If you have debt, use 99% of your profit distribution to wipe out your debt. Celebrate with the remaining 1%. It may not be a large celebration, but you need to reward yourself for sticking to your plan. And don't forget to use the Debt Snowball to pay off your debt. If you have any questions about today's episode, feel free to comment if you're watching on YouTube, or send me an email to podcast@profitscalethrive.com. If you know someone who might need to hear this information, please share this episode with them, or if you're on YouTube, tag them below. Be sure to follow and subscribe to get notifications for future episodes. Did you enjoy this episode? Please consider leaving a review. And before I go, remember, profit is something you intentionally plan for in the beginning. It is not a potential bonus at the end of the year. Thanks and have an amazing day.